Hey foodies, welcome to Nicole's Cookhouse. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make some beef stew with potatoes and carrot. Now first we're going to do some prep work. We have rosemary, thyme, and 2 habanero peppers that I have in my dish. I am cutting up some yellow peppers, some orange peppers, some red peppers, and some green peppers. Now you could dice these up smaller or you could dice this up chunky. However, whatever is your preference. We're gonna blend half of these, all these vegetables that we're dicing up. So just keep that in mind. Now I chopped up a whole red onion. I chopped up 3 scallions. We're also gonna dice up 2 tomatoes and 4 celery stalks. Now I scrape off, I don't know if you call this the skin or what you call this, but you know it's dirty. So I scrape off the carrots, I wash it off, then I dice it up also. And then I'm gonna cut up 6 garlic cloves and 1 shallot. We're gonna dice up 1 white onion. We're also gonna dice up some cilantro and some Italian parsley. Now your vegetable prep work is already done. Now we're gonna move on to the meat. Now this is about 2 pounds of stewed beef. This comes cubed. This is actually called cube stew beef. That's what it says on the packaging. Some of them is not cut small enough, so I do cut them in half again. But you can get like you a whole beef, some sirloin beef, and cut it up. But this was already came pre-cut in the package, and this is about 2 pounds. Now I will give a detailed description of all the seasonings that I'm using. I'm using about a teaspoon of each, but you are going to do some garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, Lawrys, adobo, salt, some cumin, about 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, Italian seasoning, meat tenderizer, ground sage, about 1/4 of nutmeg too, and some browning. Now it's good to let your meat sit and marinate for about 4 hours. If you can like marinate your meat the night before, it's even better. It gives it a chance to soak up all that good seasoning. So you can also do that. So I did season my meat and then let it sit for a couple of hours before I started cooking it. Now most of your prep work is done. What we're gonna do is get a crock pot or a Dutch pot, add some olive oil in it. I do add a couple of tablespoons, let that heat up on medium because you're cooking meat, so you could do like a medium high or just a medium temperature, and let that meat brown. You're gonna keep stirring it up until it is brown on all sides. Now when it is all brown, we're going to remove all the meat from the pot, put that in a bowl, and we're going to return it to the pot. But first I want to get these vegetables cooked in and get some of that meat juice on it. I want to get it seasoned up. It gives it more flavor. I do this for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to take out half of these vegetables, put some in a bowl, and then put some in a blender and blend that up until it's puree, until like a puree texture. So we let the vegetables steam and cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to take half of it out. We're going to put that in a blender and get that ready to blend. And then, like I said, the other half is going to go in a separate bowl. And then we are going to return these vegetables back to the pot when the meat is almost cooked. Now I am going to blend these vegetables so it's like a puree texture. I'm going to add in half of the beef stock. I use Swansons. I've tried like a lot of beef stocks. I don't like them. Swansons to me is the best. So I use the Swansons beef stock. Only using half of it, and then the other half I'm going to use to pour into the pot with the beef. Now that I did take a whole stick of butter, let that melt in a pot, then I'm going to use half a cup of some red cooking wine and let that cook for about 5 minutes. Now you're going to add in about a tablespoon of Italian herb paste and also a tablespoon of garlic paste. Now we're going to do about 2 tablespoons of beef better than bouillon, and we're going to just stir that in for about 2 to 3 minutes, not that long. Just incorporate all the flavors together. And when that all melts down, we're going to add in back the beef. Now we're going to put the beef in We'll add that all back into the pot. Okay, and just FYI, before you start cooking the vegetables at the beginning, I do start cooking the red kidney beans because it needs to cook for about an hour and a half to almost 2 hours because it takes a lot longer than the beef to cook. So I do cook that out in a separate pot, and then I add the beans to the beef, and I add a little bit of water because the beans to me have like a certain type of taste that I don't like. So I only add about half a cup of the bean water with the beef stew, and then let that cook together. So like I said, like let these beans cook in a separate pot for about an hour and a half because it does take a lot longer than this beef to cook because the beef is small, is stewed, is cubed, so it doesn't take that long. It's going to take about like an hour, probably an hour and a half, the longest for the beef to cook down. Not even that long. And red kidney beans needs about at least 2 hours for it to cook and be soft. So just be mindful of that. Now I'm going to keep stir the beef and the beans together. I'm going to add about 3 cups of boiling water. I do boil some water before I add that to the pot. I don't like to add cold water. I don't like to change the temperature. That's just another tip also. So I do add 3 cups of water, let that boil out. And then when the meat is almost tender, then I'm going to add in that pureed vegetables. And then I'm going to let that cook out for another like 10 to 15 minutes. Now we're going to do 1 small can of Goya tomato paste and 1 small can of Goya tomato sauce. We're going to mix that in, cover that for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then add in the rest of the beef stock. Now we're going to cut up about 5 to 6 potatoes. Cut them up whatever size you desire. I did I think like a small medium size for all of them. Now keep in mind, this dinner is for about 15 people, so if you want to cut everything in half, if you want to do like 3 potatoes, half a green pepper, half a onions, like half of everything, you could do that because this dinner is made for 15 people. Now when we add in the potatoes, we're also going to add in those vegetables that we had took out of the pot earlier. Add in about a half a cup of ketchup. Let that cook down, and when the vegetables are done, your food is ready. Thank you guys for watching Nicole's Cookhouse. I'll see you guys next time. I did pair this with rice and cornbread. If you want to see that recipe, just leave a comment in the below and I'll show you how to make the cornbread. Thank you guys for watching again. Bye.